Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Trading Camp. And as you guys can see from the title of the video itself, today I'll be showing you guys how to trade support and resistance, and this will likely be a very informative video about what is support and resistance, why do you need to know what is support and resistance, and how can you use it to improve your trading or even create your own trading style using support and resistance. So anyways, let's delve straight into the video. But if you guys would like to help me out, a simple like on the video will help me out a lot. It only takes like 5 seconds of your time. Just exit, click the like button, really helps a lot. So anyways, let's get straight right back into the video. I'm going to be covering 3 points today, and I'm going to write them down on the top here. So the first point I'll be covering is how to draw support and resistance. The second point is how to use support and resistance. The last but not least is what are some trading strategies regarding support and resistance. So hopefully through these 3 points I'll be able to help y'all be able to improve your own trading strategy and learn more about technical analysis and how to just improve your trading. So anyways, first up I'm going to delve into our first point is how to draw support and resistance. But before we start this video, we must know what is support and resistance. So if we look at the charts from a wide span of view, what you'll realize is that there's certain zones where price never seems to break through. So you can see here, right here, where let's look at this area here. Whenever price reaches this area, it bounces up, reaches this area, it bounces up, reaches this area, it bounces up. So what does this tell you? This tells you that there is a lot of bias in this area, and when there's bias at the area itself, it's likely to be a support zone. So support zones are where there's a lot of demand. It's like a demand and supply concept where there's a lot of demand for the product. In this case, Ethereum. There's a lot of buyers that want to buy it, so likely when you're at a zone of support, you're more likely to buy. So the first rule is to always buy at support. Conversely, the same thing works for the opposite. It is resistance. So you can see price hits to this area here, drops down, hits to the same price area, drops down, hit to the same price area, drops down. This is what we call a zone of resistance, where people think that the price is too high, they want to sell at that price. People want to sell at this zone right here, and that is what you call your resistance, where price does not break through. And conversely, with how you buy at support at resistance areas, you want to sell. So I think it's pretty easy for me to tell where the support zones are, so I'm going to teach you guys how to tell where the support zones are. So first up, you want to identify an area where price bounces a couple of times set. So let's look right here. We have a basically quite a perfect example here. You want to look at these two areas here. You can see that when price reaches this area down here, it bounces up, reaches this area, it bounces up. So let's say we are blocking out the entire right side chart right here. What you can see that is that the price right here is a zone where there's a lot of buyers. So it's usually not a single line where you just have a single line of support right there, but usually it's a zone of price where you can where the people want to buy the price at. So this is where the zone is. So you can see that when we extend it all the way, you can see that there's multiple touch points where the support is. So you can see here we have 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce, 4 bounce, 5 bounce. I'm not sure you guys want to count these two. If you draw the zone up, you include these two, and what you realize is that this is an area of support, and whenever it comes down to this price area, you want to buy at the area of support. Same thing, let's look at another example. We want to identify an area where it's very obvious on the chart that there is support. So let's look right here. We have the perfect 3-point example. You can see right here we have a breakdown to this area right here, goes up to this area right here, it goes up to this area, it goes up. So what does this mean? You can see that this is an area of support. So you can see that if this is an area of support, when price reaches back to this area, it's likely to bounce again. So 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, of touches, you know that this is a support zone now. Comes back down to this area right here, you can see we immediately have a bounce of 2% upwards. So as you guys know, as I said earlier, this is why you always buy a support. And using support, how do you use them, which is goes to our second pointer, is that you can predict that price is likely to bounce at these type of areas. So let's say you want to enter a long position, you want to usually enter at the support zone area, so that price will bounce off the area. So same thing, how you want to draw resistance is the same idea as how you want to draw support. First up, you want to identify areas where there is touch points. There's a lot of touch points and rejections from that area. So what do I mean by that? So here we look at this value area here. You can see that it pushes up, goes back down, pushes up to this area here, goes back down, pushes up, goes back down. So it is likely that this area right here, this zone of area, it could be quite big because there's a strong push there, but a rejection down. But I'll draw it like that. I'm going to make it red to show that it is resistance. You can see that this area right here is a resistance zone, because when price moves up to this area, there is a lot of selling pressure that pushes the price down. So you can see that it attempts to push past again, pushes straight back down. So same thing, you want to use the resistance in the same way you want to sell at the resistance, because price is likely to go down and after it reaches this zone. But obviously there are times where not always the resistance and support won't work. But anyways, you can see that if we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touch points on a resistance zone, you know that the next time it reaches this zone again, there's likely to be another rejection. And if we draw the entire resistance zone all the way here, you can see we have that perfect example where it reaches here, gets rejected, and drops by so much. Let's see, it drops by 13% right here. So you can see that support and resistance is such an important concept in our trading, in how we trade, and it's important to learn how to use them. So okay, so I'm pretty sure I covered how to draw support and resistance. You just want to find the touch points. You want to find at least 2 to 3 touch points, and you just find the relative area where this is, where the support and resistance is. So easily you can identify when price reaches this area, it bounces up. So yeah, that's for your first part on learning how to draw your support and resistance. So now let's head to our second touch point, is how to use support and resistance. So obviously, as I said before, support you want to buy, resistance you want to sell. So we basically look at this area right here. You can see that this is clearly a resistance area and clearly a support area. So how would you like to use this support area? So let's say we have this uptrend right here. You want to take a long position, maybe right here. You can see that you have a bullish engulfing. So how do you want to take your position? You want to likely put your stop loss right below the support, slightly below, because you know that it will bounce off as support. So if you put your stop loss below, you likely won't be stopped out. And how will you want to use the resistance? Let's say you're in a long position, you want to place your take profit slightly below the resistance area. So let's use this example right here. If we enter a position right here, we put our stop loss right below the support, put our take profit right below the resistance area, you can see that we immediately got this as a winning trade, because once it reaches support, it bounces off. Once it reaches a resistance, it will go back down. So let's say you do not respect the rules and you do not put your take profit below the resistance area. Let's say you put it above. What happens is that you're likely to be stopped out, because when it reaches resistance, this is where the selling pressure is, and there will likely be rejection. So you're most likely the trade won't continue in your favor. So it's important to put your stop loss below the support and your take profit right below the resistance to ensure that you are trading within the zone. And that's how you use these two. So same thing for when you want to enter a short position. Let's say you have a rejection here, a rejection in this area right here. We want to put your let's say you have this rejection here. You want to enter a short position right here on this candle here, this candle right here. You put your stop loss right above the resistance area, and you want to put your take profit at the support area. Same thing, if you put your take profit too far, you will get stopped out, likely to get stopped out. And let's say if you put your stop right below the resistance, you'll likely get stopped out as well. So with regards to how to use them, it's important to put your, let's say you're in a long position, you want to put your stop loss below the support and take profit below the resistance. And same thing, if you're in a short position, you want to put your take profit right above the support and stop loss right above the resistance. So that is for the main tree on how to use support and resistance. So your first rule is to buy at support, sell at resistance. Second rule is to just use your risk management, adjust your stop loss and adjust your take profit with regards to where the support and resistance is. So third up, I'd like to teach you guys a small simple trading strategy using support and resistance, and this is what we call the break and retest. So usually there is, let's say we have a resistance zone here where price tries to break. Up here, price tries to break, gets rejected, tries to break in, gets rejected. And then the next time it tries again, it breaks, and this is how we have the trend here. We have the push up, down, and we have a break upwards. And then next up, you see that the resistance has now been broken. It's no longer valid. And in fact, what happens normally is that this area will be tested again, and when resistance is broken, it will become support. Same thing right here, you can see that, let's say we draw a support line, we have the same thing, we have a test, support goes up, people buy, same thing, people buy, and we have a breakdown. Once this support is broken down and price goes below it, this will become resistance. And what happens likely is that, let's say we have a support right here, we have the break, likely you'll return back to this area and they'll retest this area, and you will take a short position down, because after that this will be a short position because this is a resistance zone. So this might be a bit confusing, but let me show you guys how we're going to go about using this. So let's say we look at this area right here. We can see that this is a very prominent resistance zone. You see how many points of rejection we have? About 6, 7, 8, even maybe 9 points. And here we have our first clean break to the upside with a clean break of the resistance to the upside here. And now once the resistance is broken, it will act as support. Price comes back, retraces to this zone, and we have this area right here where there is a rejection of, because now once the resistance is broken, now here in this area here, which is the same area where the resistance was, this has now become support because it has broken. So same thing as how I drew the strategy just now, with a up, with a price push up, get rejected, price push up, get rejected, price push up, and now it retests this area and then continues the trend. So that is how your trend works. So once the resistance is broken, you can take the trade at the support zone. So we have this thing called, this is the simple strategy where resistance breaks, now acts as support. So you'll take a long position at where this zone is. So as you can see, we put a limit, let's say we put a limit order at this area where the previous resistance was, and we have a trade up there and a winning trade, as you guys can see. So same thing for when you're in the opposite direction. So let's look right here, we have this sort of this support zone right here. So we have, see that price bounces, and comes to this break point. See that we have this bounce, tries again, bounce a bit, and then we have a break, strong breakdown, comes back to this area and then shoots back down. So same thing for support. Once support is broken, it becomes resistance. So we want to take a short position at the same area where it previously was support. So you can see that the support broken now becomes resistance. We take that short position and it'll end up to be a win. So this is the same trading strategy, but you just flip it around for the support and resistance. So many ways that you can use support and resistance. You can wait for it to break first, and then you take the second retest of the same area, or you can just trade ranges. Like right here, you can see that price is clearly moving down, up, down, up, down, up, and continuously, what you can see that is you can just keep buying at the support, buying at the support, buying at the support here. Same thing, you can sell at the support, sell at the support, etc, etc. So you can see that there's a lot of ways that you can use the use support and resistance, but my main takeaway that I feel that you guys should take from this video is that to always buy at support and sell at resistance. And before you take any trades, make sure to identify the zones that you guys are looking at, identify the support and resistance zone, and that will help you a lot. So yeah, this is a relatively longer video. It's quite a short summary. There's a lot of more trading strategies that you guys can use with support and resistance, and if we can hit 20 likes for this video, I'll show you guys a lot more of the own strategies that I personally use myself. And yeah, 20 likes is all I need for this effort for this video, and hopefully you guys learned a lot from this video. So thank you very much and goodbye guys.